Hello, everyone. Welcome into Around the Felt. And we got the Indianapolis Colts episode tonight, recapping their 2024 season, giving them a nice letter grade. Well, in the Colts case, it might not be too nice. And talking about their 2025 offseason. Joining me tonight, as always, my very handsome co-host, Reagan Loescher. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Yo, I don't swing that way, pal. But I'm doing good. I appreciate it. But I just had to make that clear. I am single and ready to mingle. Any of you Lady Colts fans
I just
out
think
there
you
listening?
I just think the hat
No,
looks great. You know, I'm just a big fan of the hat.
Thank you. Yeah. No, jokes aside, I know I look handsome. Thank you for that. You're pretty grainy on my screen right now, so I can't really tell what you look like. But yeah, thank you. But yeah, let's get right into it, man. Let me start out with the Colts. I will give them a C- for the season because,
Okay.
you did win some football games, but ultimately you had a nice little collapse at the end of the season where it's like you have a very good chance to make the playoffs and you let, one of the worst offenses, if not the worst offense in football, with Drew Lock drop 45 on your head to knock you out of the playoffs. The defense looked terrible, which was kind of the backbone. And you also lead the season not knowing, is Anthony Richardson the answer or not? Because obviously, which we'll get into a little bit later, you bring in Daniel Jones. So a lot of things did not go right for this team. And there's a lot of question marks going into next season. The nice thing is Jonathan Taylor, still a beast. No matter who the quarterback is, he's going to be the driving force on the offensive side. And then defensively, they did address some big needs in the offseason, but I don't know, man. It just unraveled at the end, and you would have liked to see Latu Latu have a bigger impact right away.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I left it off with it. I mean, honestly, you could make a case for a D+ because they were a win and get in game last year in Houston from making it. Honestly, if Tyler Goodson doesn't drop that pass, which I know wasn't the best pass, yada yada, you can go back and forth. They were almost a playoff team last year, and I almost felt like even though they were down to the wire again, they felt like they took a step back when they kind of returned the same exact roster.
Yeah. I gave him a D. So much more negative than you, my friend. An 8-9 season doesn't look too bad on paper. And before the year, you'd think the Colts would probably be around 500, but it was just the fashion in which their season ended, like getting thromped by Drew Lock and the Giants to be eliminated from the playoffs. Like, what the hell was that, man? Your defense was god awful. 24th in scoring, 29th in total, 26th in pass. Just terrible across the board. Offensively, at least you had a good run game with Jonathan Taylor and then Richardson using his legs. You were a top 10 rushing unit, so that's a positive. But other than that, Richardson couldn't stay healthy again. I mean, he subbed himself out of a game. That did not go well with the team.
Yeah,
And he did not he did not make the necessary strides as a passer that you were really hoping for. His completion percentage was below 50, Reagan. Usually 60 is like the threshold that you want to be at as a quarterback. He can't even hit 50% completion rate for a season. He had 8 touchdowns to 12 interceptions passing.
You still want to argue with me on him, or you done? You're going to give me the win on that one?
Well, what was the argument?
I was just saying, I'm not sold on him, blah, 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 blah. I don't believe in him, yada, yada, yada. And you're like, he's going to be good. He's going to be the next Cam Newton and all this stuff. And we're giving me a lot of crap.
When did I ever say he's going to be the next Cam Newton?
Well,
I want you to.
We can look back. We'll have to look back at the old pods, but I remember there was some heated argument back in the day. One of the first pods we did was me not believing in Anthony Richardson and needing to see it first. And you were like, how do you not believe in the talent? This guy's going to be a fantasy stud. He's going to be this. He's going to be that. Go.
Fantasy
Gator,
stud is different from a real stud.
But he hasn't even been a fantasy stud either.
He's had moments like his rookie year.
But not a stud.
Moments.
But Bryce Young's had moments. Zach Wilson's had moments.
But when we had that
all these young quarterbacks.
When we had that argument, it was after his rookie year, in which he only played 4 games.
It was not after his rookie year. It was before it was when he was drafted. Remember, this podcast has been around for a while now.
Yeah, it has been almost 2 years. But when he started as a rookie, he did ball out in terms of fantasy. as a rookie in his very limited sample size. That is true. He had a couple top 5 finishes in 4 games. So
I
that
know,
is
but
true.
I didn't give
The
you
rushing
shit
was
back then. I'm giving you shit for this season. I said I'll give you a pass because obviously he showed some flashes and then got injured, but I don't know, man. You're
well,
arguing a lot here.
look,
I would just be like, listen, I was wrong. I'm out on him.
I'm not I'm not ready to write him off. I'm not completely
I
out
am.
on him because the talent is the arm talent and how he's built and his rushing ability. The tools are there. It's just the
I mean,
consistency is
so why don't
not.
you say
And
that
the
same sentiment for Will Levis? When I say that, you're like, no, what? Because you could say the same thing for Will Levis. The arm
Will
talent and the
Levis,
tools are there.
but
Well, I mean, what's the
Levis does
difference?
not have the same tools as Richardson. He does
He's
have a
definitely
big
got
arm.
crazy
Richardson has a
talent and
bigger
crazy
arm.
tools. But I'm just
Richardson
saying,
has
they
a
both.
bigger arm. He's a bigger player, and he's faster. He has more tools in his tool shed than Levis, which is why in the same draft, Richardson went 4 and Levis went in the second round. When Levis had more college production than Richardson,
All I'm saying is you were giving me a
that's
lot of
why he
flack for
went
saying
4
I'm
and
not
Levis
out
went in
on
the second
Levis,
round.
but then in the same sentiment. I don't
Yeah,
know. Only time will tell. We're
I
getting
think
caught up on the nitty gritties.
I think Richardson has a higher ceiling than Levis. But don't get me wrong. Richardson's got to figure it out. Like, yeah, you could run. He had 500 rushing yards in 10 games last year. That's pretty good. He was good. He was really good as a runner. But if you can't figure it out as a passer, you're not going to be the long-term solution here. You're not going to win a Super Bowl with the Colts. And
Oh, the one thing I will say, he'll
biggest,
definitely get another opportunity. I mean, look at Justin Fields. He got 2 for 40 with the Jets, and I mean, he's never really developed as a passer either. So, at the very least, if
yeah.
he's not with the Colts, somebody will give him a contract after he leaves the Colts and give him the opportunity to be a starter just based off the athletic talent.
Oh, I agree. I agree on that for sure. But, also another thing is that was a negative for the season, which why I gave him a D. The wide receivers all took a back, which is not
Pittman.
ideal. They were so much better with Joe Flacco 2 years ago than they were with Richardson. It's like, geez, especially Josh Downs. But yeah, I mean, Pittman taking a step back is not good. I got a lot of hope for Josh Downs, but Richardson can't seem to find him. A.D. Mitchell has talent too, but wasn't really in a situation to put up some big numbers last year. So that's another negative, and that comes with Richardson being the quarterback. And, we'll get in the offseason now. Hence why you bring in Daniel Jones on a 1-year deal. $14 million, though. That's not backup money. It's not starter money. It's competing for the job money. And they're saying whoever's the more consistent guy is going to get the job. And it's kind of ironic because Jones and Richardson are 2 of the more non-consistent guys in the league. I think they were both ranked towards the bottom of the league in terms of QBR, like the bottom. Like they were both in like the bottom 3 or 4. So that's not ideal, but you do have to push Richardson. And I think Jones, this was probably the best landing spot for him. So it makes sense in that regard. They did try to address that god-awful secondary from last season, adding Travarius Ward on a 3-year, $54 million deal. It's a big sign for them. Cameron Bynum, the safety from Minnesota, 4 years, $60 million. All right, I like what they're doing on the back end of the defense. They did lose some guys on defense, though. EJ Speed, Dayo Adeyingbo, and they lost 2 offensive linemen. And, when you had a top 10 rushing attack, you probably had to feel pretty good about your O-line. And with Richardson struggling a lot, obviously you want to get more guys up front to protect him so he can develop as a passer. But losing Ryan Kelly, who's been a stalwart of that offensive line for a long time, and Will Fries, who got a bag, is going to hurt.
Yeah, Will Fries. I mean, speaking of him, local legend around these parts.
Local legend. Put me on my ass as a Cranford Cougar.
Didn't put me on my ass. I guess I'm just that much better than you. But still.
I don't think you're on the team. I don't think you played that year.
It's probably somewhere on the sideline or in the stands. But regardless, upright. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it'll be interesting because you have this whole quarterback competition coming in with Daniel Jones going against Anthony Richardson, but then you lose a lot of key pieces on the offensive line. So, at the very least, hey, Quentin Nelson, who you could argue is the best lineman in football, still there. But definitely some key losses, and we'll see how they adjust. I mean, are the Colts still going to be known as one of those dominant lines? I mean, now is the time for Shane Steichen to show why he's one of the best offensive minds in football. And I am curious because it has seemed like, he was able to get a lot out of Gardner Minshew, who they kind of brought in a similar situation. So can they get a lot out of Daniel Jones if they bring him in? I think they can. I do think we'll see more Jones than we'll see Richardson. And at the very least, we have seen 1 year of Daniel Jones playing winning football where we haven't seen that yet with Richardson. I would be curious if a change of scenery does help Jones. I mean, you could argue it's the best weapons he's ever had in his career going over to the Colts. I mean, last year was good with Neighbors, but outside of that, he didn't really have it. So I'd say those are probably the best weapons he's ever had in front of him. And even with all the offensive line losses, it might be the best offensive line he's ever had. So
yeah, no, like it might be. Yeah, it might be.
Which, that's huge. And I mean, obviously, we've seen players change teams. We've seen Geno Smith have a rejuvenation. We've seen Baker Mayfield have a rejuvenation. We've seen Sam Darnold have a rejuvenation. So it's definitely possible with Daniel Jones, but we've also seen Sam Darnold go to the Panthers and wasn't good. So who knows? But all I'm saying is the cards are there, and it's trending up for him to be in a better spot. Going to Minnesota, maybe he learned some things behind Kevin O'Connell. Obviously we've seen what he did with Sam Darnold. So maybe he'll take that over with him going from a good offensive mind to another good offensive mind. But I'd really like to see what Jones can do over there. I was kind of hoping my Jets brought him in just because I think he has more in the tank. He's just a guy that needed a change of scenery bad.
Yeah, I'm going to go on a little sidetrack here. I did speak with Daniel Jones a couple weeks back. Saw him in Hoboken.
Oh, yeah.
He has an apartment in Hoboken still. Yeah, he has an apartment in Hoboken still from his time with the Giants. So, I guess when the season ended with Minnesota, he came back to Hoboken, and we saw him at Mike's Wild Moose Saloon, Country Bar in Hoboken. Mm-hmm. And, coming out of the bathroom, and it's like, holy shit, who's that tall guy? Standing in the middle of the bar. You could tell easily it was some type of athlete. And he towered over everybody. And yeah, Daniel Jones is at the bar. So chopped up a little bit. I will say, Colts fans, one thing you're getting with Daniel Jones is a stand-up dude. Like, he is a great guy. You can't say a bad word about him in terms of who he is as a person. And everything coming out of the Giants locker room too was DJ was the best teammate. Like, didn't work out, but guy was always a grinder and was very motivating. And, so we'll see if he can win the job and how well he can do in Indianapolis, but I will always root for Daniel Jones, and he was a really cool dude. So
I hope your knees aren't scraped, buddy.
What do you do? Jesus Christ, man. What do you mean?
No, I'm kidding. You were just going on a Daniel Jones love sesh right there. But that is cool.
Dude,
that is
cool.
I
just chopped it up. Did
you ask him for an interview? Because we almost had him on an interview last year. Mina had the connection. You should.
No, I don't think it was the time to ask him for an interview, man. There was a lot of people like trying to go up to him and talk to him.
Bro, I love you. I will go on a podcast and I'm your number one defender, Daniel. Anytime you want to come on, this Giants fan still respects and loves you.
Yeah, I did say, I appreciate everything you did for the Giants. So did tip the cap to him.
At least you're not like Snakequan, bro.
Yeah, dude. At least you'd sign with the Eagles, bro. All right.
So let's move on. Jalen Hurts' backup.
So let's move on to draft here. Colts got pick number 14, where they seem to be kind of in that range. They were there in that range last year. Obviously, quarterback's not in play, adding my boy DJ. But a lot of other directions this team can go. You could argue offensive line's in play. A lot of mocks have a Tyler Warren, or if he's off the board, Colston Loveland, tight end from Michigan, going there, which I think is very smart. Or they could address the defense. They could address the secondary, which is still pretty garbage. So, Reagan, what are your thoughts on what they should do at pick 14?
Yeah, I mean, right away, I would think you either go out and get an offensive lineman because of all the losses. You could always go the Tyler Warren route because, we really haven't seen them have a relevant tight end since, one great year with Eric Ebron a couple years back. And then prior to that, it was
touchdown machine.
Kobe Fleeners and Dallas Clark. So it would be nice to see them get that. I mean, I think definitely you're setting up your young quarterback in Anthony Richardson, or if it is Daniel Jones, you're setting him up with another nice weapon. If you're going to go on the defensive side of the ball, I would think you could always add to the secondary. I mean, I wouldn't mind a Malachi Starks.
Yeah.
If Will Johnson is to somehow fall,
slam dunk. Yeah. If he's there at 14.
Pairing him with Ward would be nice. Although I still think he is going to be Ward's replacement in San Francisco. But still, if he does fall, why not? I mean, I actually do think this team should stick and pick. They're just not going to be as lucky this year that they're going to be having their choice of whatever defensive player they want. I don't think we'll ever see that again, like we did last year, where they got to sit there and take Latu Latu as the first defensive player at pick 15, I think it was.
Yeah, should have took Jared Verse, but it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, it's hindsight's 2020, but at the time I don't think anyone was arguing that.
No, Verse was definitely up there. There was no consensus number one pass rusher.
But Turner, I'm saying like it's easy to say that now, but at the time,
yeah. I know.
You weren't the one being like, oh, why didn't they take Jared Verse?
No, I know.
It's also 1 year. I'm still not out on Latu.
Well, I mean, he was my defensive rookie of the year pick before the season. So, yeah, it didn't go very well. I should have said.
Remember,
Verse.
I think Drock came in with his like hot lock and was like, I think I'm almost positive Drock's hot lock was Latu Latu 15 plus sacks, and I'm like, bro, at that point you might as well bet him Depoy.
Yeah.
I'm like almost positive. We'll have to go back and look, but I'm almost positive that was it.
Yeah,
you think I know who that player is? I wouldn't say that shit.
Yeah, so Reagan's just pulling Reagan's with all these like our bad Colts takes from like whenever, and he's just pulling these out of his ass. When we're like, is that true? I don't know if that's true.
If that's what you guys say,
I don't know. We'll have to do some digging, but in my opinion, what they should do at pick 14, Tyler Warren, run the Cards the podium if he's on the board. If not, Colston Loveland's very much in play, unless, there's a guy like a Will Johnson that does slide to you. That makes a lot of sense. But I think when you have a quarterback like Richardson that's been so inaccurate, get him a guy that can work the middle of the field and give you some easy throws and some layups to get some easy first downs, take some pressure off him where he doesn't feel like he has to chuck the ball downfield and make these very difficult throws outside the hashes on a consistent basis. Let's get him someone that's going to work over the middle with Josh Downs and get him some more easy looks. I think tight end is certainly in play here. If it's Tyler Warren, slam dunk. If it's Colston Loveland, I could see, maybe you go with Jahdae Barron out of Texas to help address that secondary as well. Or maybe if there's an edge rusher that slides, because I think you draft over Kwity Paye.
Plus 650. 12 sacks?
All right, I exaggerated.
650. Plus
Whoa.
650. 12 sacks as a rookie is legit. Like, that's difficult to do as a rookie. I don't hate that either, because if you're going to bet on him rookie of the year, I think he's like plus 600 to win rookie of the year. So at that point, like, if you're going to win rookie of the year, you're probably going to get 12 sacks. And then that just eliminates all the other like bullshit that happens.
Yeah. All right. So you're bashing Drock, but you're like, I don't.
No, I was saying I'm basically saying I didn't hate it because 12. If you're gonna take
it was 12, not 16. So big difference
12.
there.
Yeah. How many do you have, Reagan? How many do you have?
I don't know. Let's look. He may have had it. I mean, for all I know, he may have had 15 sacks. I mean, this is casual talk here. Just everyone just happened to forget that he had 15 or 12 sacks this year. Nah, I don't think he had many, bro. Honestly, he was not 4.
Okay. All right.
I don't know. There was a lot of medical question marks coming in. I mean, he did play. It does look like he played all 17 as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's too much math. But yeah, it looks like he played all 17.
Drock, get back in here. We got any questions for the Colts tonight?
Yeah. One question I have for you guys, depending how you guys like this. I'm going to ask it to you guys. Is Anthony Richardson more of a Lamar Jackson or a Cam Newton?
I think he's definitely more of a Cam Newton because he doesn't move like Lamar Jackson in terms of his horizontal.
He doesn't throw like him either.
In space. Yeah, he doesn't throw as good as Lamar either. Cam was never really a polished passer, but he's a better passer than Richardson has shown to be. That's for damn sure. But when you look at their frame, I think they're both 6'5" and like 240 pounds. Yeah, I mean, he's got more Cam Newton to his game, and he runs like Cam Newton, like he runs dudes over, where Lamar runs around guys who doesn't get touched. So definitely more of a Cam Newton type than Lamar Jackson type, but he's not as good as a passer as either of those two guys were at this point in their careers.
I mean, you could even say he's honestly more of Josh Allen, early in his career. That's who he really reminds me of.
Yeah.
obviously Josh Allen is a very polished passer now, but coming into it, it was like, yeah, the mobility's there. Yeah, the cannon's there, but the accuracy is not there. And then just, every season just improved. And now he, obviously is an MVP. But that's who I would compare him to more so than any of the other two is Josh Allen. It really speaks to it. It's just Josh Allen obviously continued to develop every year, where Anthony Richardson in year 3 hasn't shown any signs of development as a passer. I mean, yeah, we know he can run, but if anything, he regressed back from his rookie year. And even though his rookie year was 3 games, it's such a small sample size. He doesn't even have a full season worth of tape in 2 seasons playing.
Yeah, dude, he's only played 14 games in 2 seasons. So that's another thing where it's like, is Richardson the long-term solution? It's like the dude hasn't even played a full season worth of games yet, which there's still much to be desired, but it is stunting his growth that he's not getting those very valuable reps now because Chris Ballard's on the goddamn hot seat. Like, let's be honest. He doesn't have much time to wait around for Richardson to figure it out. He can't wait until his 5th year to finally become a polished passer. And what does alarm me with Richardson too is Josh Allen really took off when he got Stephon Diggs because he didn't have some very good weapons. I'm not going to sit here and say Michael Pittman's a true number 1, but Pittman has shown he can be kind of the number 1.
He was great with Gardner.
Yeah, yes, but he's not an alpha number 1. He's not a top 10 guy, but he was their number 1. And yes, statistically, he did put up wide receiver 1 numbers, but we also haven't seen it on a consistent basis from him. And Josh Downs and A.D. Mitchell, like, that's a pretty solid receiving core where when Josh Allen made his strides, it's when he got Diggs, where Richardson already has enough weapons around him where he can take those strides, in my opinion.
That's why I think Daniel Jones may succeed, because it is the best situation he will be in.
Yeah, in terms of weapons, for sure. For sure.
Plus, he doesn't really turn the ball over that much. He's always just been like such a check down Charlie. And
Jones? No, he's he's more of a one-read guy. Most of his turnovers
he's pretty safe.
Fumbles. He had a lot of fumbles compared to your average quarterback. Not as many interceptions, but he's cleaned that up. But also you got to consider, like, Colts are losing guys along the offensive line, and Jones has struggled when the pocket collapses, and so has Richardson.
Well, the nice thing I'll say for the Colts is at least you can run basically the same playbook with Jones and Richardson, where last year, it was a completely different playbook because all those mobile quarterback plays go out the window and, slanging that thing Flacco comes in. But at least you know that he can throw the ball accurately.
That's true. All right, everyone, that wraps up our Colts episode. We appreciate you tuning in. Like, subscribe, comment. Let us know, who should the Colts target at pick number 14? Who's going to win the QB1 job? Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson? Do you guys still believe in Anthony Richardson like I do, and not like my co-host over here, Reagan Loescher? But we appreciate you tuning in. We'll catch you next time here on Around the Felt.
Bye, everybody.